Hello, my name is Ian Lowe, and I appreciate you joining this recorded session on crafting clear, purposeful prompts for large language models. Over the next 20 or so minutes, we will unpack why prompt writing is not merely a technical convenience, but in many settings, a professional literacy. My goal is simple. By the time you finish this video, you should feel more confident about translating your intentions into instructions a model can use productively. For this session, we hope to achieve 3 learning outcomes. First, you'll understand, at least at a working level, how large language models interpret what you type. Second, we'll identify the attributes that make a prompt truly effective. And third, we'll learn a repeatable framework that you can adopt immediately. These verbs, understand, identify, and learn, are intentionally active. They're here to remind us that prompt engineering isn't just about memorizing facts. It's a practice where knowledge must be enacted. When we talk about communicating with machines, we often default to metaphors of conversation. That metaphor is helpful, yet it can also mislead us. An LLM predicts text, it does not comprehend in the human sense. Recognizing that distinction shifts the burden of clarity back onto us. In other words, effective prompting is a design activity. Designing inputs so the statistical machinery has less room to wander. Let's go over 3 crucial working facts about these large language models. First, prediction, not understanding. The model isn't truly understanding in the human sense. It's simply selecting the most probable next word, or token. Second, no memory without context. Its memory only exists within the text window you supply. Once that window moves, the past is gone. And third, precision drives performance. Vague instructions will always yield vague prose. Think of it like this. Drawing from information theory, it is always garbage in, garbage out. The clearer the signal we provide, the less chaotic the response will be. This isn't just academic talk, it's an operational truth you'll see every time you interact with these models. Scholars in the field of human-computer interaction constantly remind us of something crucial. The quality of an interface directly impacts our cognitive load. In other words, a good interface makes things easier to understand and use. Now, think about prompts. In effect, prompts are micro-interfaces. And just like any good interface, their quality is anchored by 4 critical dimensions: clarity, context, goal-driven instruction, and testability. Let's dive deeper into each of these 4 critical dimensions, as each plays a vital role in crafting effective prompts. Clarity and precision are key because they reduce the model's interpretive freedom. The less ambiguity, the better the result. Next, context and completeness are vital. They supply the essential scaffolding that a generative model, by its very nature, lacks. You have to give it the world it needs to operate in. Then there's goal-driven instruction. This is where you declare, explicitly, what good looks like for your output. What's the target? And finally, consistency and testability empower us to evaluate the model's outputs systematically, rather than just relying on intuition. This allows for repeatable, reliable results. These 4 dimensions aren't just academic concepts, they're your roadmap to crafting truly effective prompts. We've talked about the principles of good prompting. But how do we apply them in a structured, repeatable way? That's where a pragmatic device like the RISE framework comes in. RISE is an acronym for Role, Intent, Specifics, and Expected Outcome. Let's break down each element. Role sets the stage for the model. You might say, you are a cybersecurity analyst. Intent clearly describes the task at hand, for instance, assess current threats. Specifics help you narrow the focus, like limit to AWS and Azure data from the past 6 months. And the expected outcome defines the format and constraints, ensuring you get, say, bullet points under 200 words. Frameworks like RISE, while not guaranteeing perfection every time, introduce a much-needed disciplined structure to your prompting. In organizational settings, this kind of structure often trumps improvisation because it allows for consistency and scales effectively across different teams and tasks. So, how do we take RISE even further? We can significantly augment its effectiveness by incorporating some powerful prompting techniques. Let's go through what these are. Few-shot prompting. Here, you provide concrete examples directly in your prompt. These examples act as powerful exemplars, enabling the model to grasp the desired style, format, or output structure through sophisticated pattern recognition. Chain of thought prompting. When you need to understand the model's reasoning, these cues are invaluable. They prompt the model to lay out its thinking process step by step, making its decision-making transparent, which is critical when auditability is a concern. Role prompting. This technique allows you to assign the model a specific persona. By telling it, for example, you are a critical scientific reviewer, you guide its tone and the kind of language it uses, ensuring it aligns with the expected voice. One gentle caution as you explore these: while providing more guidance is often beneficial, be mindful that too much verbosity can sometimes drown out your primary instruction. The sweet spot is always about finding the right balance. Now, take a look at the prompt, Explain AI. It's simple, right? Direct. But it's also bad. Why? Because it leaves too many blanks. Explain AI to whom? A child? An expert? How long should it be? A sentence? A book? What kind of explanation? Technical? Simple? When you leave blanks, the model has to guess. And sometimes, its guesses are wildly off. You get a generic, often unhelpful answer. Now, look at a better prompt. You are a lecturer. Write a 300-word beginner-friendly explanation of AI using analogies. This is a much better prompt. Why? Because it's clear, it's specific, and it leaves no room for guessing. You are a lecturer gives the model a role and a voice. 300 words sets a precise length. Beginner-friendly defines the audience and complexity. Using analogies tells it how to explain. The lesson is simple. Vague instructions lead to vague results. But clear, specific instructions lead to exactly what you need. The more precisely you tell the model what you want, the better and more useful its response will be. It's about taking control, not leaving it to chance. Today, we're talking about writing effective prompts for large language models. But more importantly, let's discuss why we do this. Why bother putting in the effort to craft better prompts? The answer lies in the very nature of how these powerful AI tools operate. Writing effective prompts is both an art and a science, and the RISE framework offers us a practical structure for doing it well. Why is this structure crucial? Because a good prompt fundamentally improves our interaction with AI. It means clearly defining the model's role, stating the intended task, including necessary context, and specifying the desired output format. Think about it. When you give an LLM a vague instruction like summarize this or write a story, you're essentially leaving it to guess your true expectations. This often results in inconsistent, irrelevant, or simply unhelpful responses. And that's a waste of your time and the AI's potential. Now, consider the power of a refined prompt like, act as a business analyst and summarize the quarterly earnings report in bullet points for executives. Why do we take the time to build this detail in? Because it provides incredible clarity and direction. It tells the model its specific role, its precise intent, the relevant specifics for the context, and the exact expected output format. So, why do we apply RISE? The core reason is to achieve a significant uplift in quality, relevance, and reliability of the AI-generated outputs. By giving the AI clear, unambiguous instructions, we move from hoping for a good result to designing a predictable, useful one. Ultimately, why we do this is about making large language models effective, reliable tools in our real-world workflows. It's about harnessing their power in a way that truly boosts our productivity and delivers consistent value, rather than leaving our results to chance. Let's look at two practical examples that powerfully illustrate why taking a few extra moments to refine your prompts makes all the difference. These show how applying structure can transform generic AI outputs into precisely what you need. Our first example focuses on a common business task, summarizing a report. Imagine you just type, summarize this report. What do you get? A wall of text? Does it focus on what's important to you? Is it for your boss, or for a general audience? This vague instruction leaves the AI guessing. It doesn't know your objective, who the audience is, or what specific points you care about. The output will likely be generic and require significant manual editing on your part. It's inefficient. Now, let's elevate that with a structured prompt, using our RISE framework. You are a business analyst. Summarize this quarterly earnings report by highlighting trends, revenue growth, and key challenges, while excluding HR or operational details. Present the summary in concise bullet points, no more than 200 words, tailored for an executive audience. Here, we've given the AI a role as a business analyst, a clear intent like summarize this quarterly earnings report. Crucial specifics on what to focus on and what to exclude, and a precise expected output like bullet points, under 200 words, for executives. This prompt ensures you get an actionable, tailored summary, exactly as if a human analyst had done it. For our second example, let's shift gears to creative writing. If you just type, write a story, what will the AI produce? It could be anything. A fantasy, a romance, a sci-fi piece. There's no direction on genre, plot, characters, or even length. You'll likely get a random narrative that doesn't align with your creative vision. It's like asking a chef to make food. You might get a sandwich when you wanted a 7-course meal. But by applying RISE, we can guide the creative process effectively. You are a creative writing coach. Generate a writing prompt that explores a dystopian world where memories can be bought or sold. Use vivid imagery to spark creativity. Output as a single paragraph. Notice how we define the AI's role as a creative writing coach to set the tone. The intent is to generate a writing prompt. The specifics establish the core concept like dystopian world where memories can be bought or sold and guide the style by saying use vivid imagery. Finally, the expected output defines the format by saying it should be a single paragraph. While this prompt doesn't write the story, it generates an inspiring, focused starting point for a story, perfectly aligned with your needs. These examples clearly demonstrate the power of specific, structured prompting. By investing a little time upfront to define the role, intent, specifics, and expected output, you move from generic, unpredictable AI responses to highly relevant, precise, and immediately usable outputs. This is how we truly leverage the power of these incredible tools. We've talked about the fundamentals of good prompting, like the RISE framework. Now, let's explore how we can go even further. I shall now cover advanced prompting techniques. Methods that allow us to exert even finer control and unlock more sophisticated outputs from large language models. First, use delimiters to separate content. This is about making your prompt absolutely unambiguous. By using clear symbols like quotes, dashes, or start and end tags, you help the model understand what's an instruction, what's an example, and what's the content it needs to process. It's like putting clear labels on different parts of a complex instruction manual. Next, set the tone and style explicitly. Don't just ask for text, specify how it should feel. Do you need it to be formal and academic, or conversational and casual? Persuasive, or purely technical? By clearly stating your desired tone, you ensure the model adapts its language and vocabulary precisely for your target audience and purpose. Third, for complex challenges, break complex tasks into steps. If you need a multi-part answer, guide the model through it sequentially. Instead of a single, massive request, tell it, first, explain the concept. Then, provide a concrete example. And finally, offer a concise summary. This step-by-step approach helps the model process information systematically and delivers structured, comprehensive responses. Then, a powerful technique is to ask for reflection or self-check. You can prompt the model to review its own work. Phrases like, "Is there anything missing?" or "Review your response for completeness and accuracy" encourage the model to internally scrutinize its output, often leading to significant improvements in quality before you even see it. Fifth, control output length and format. This is crucial for integration and usability. Don't just hope for a short answer, state it clearly by saying, limit your answer to 150 words. Need a specific structure for an application? Use instructions like respond in JSON format. Explicitly setting these constraints manages response size and ensures the output is immediately ready for its intended use. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, iterate and refine your prompt based on output. Prompting is not a once-off activity. Your first attempt is rarely perfect. Small changes in wording, adding a new constraint, or providing a different example can dramatically affect results. So, test your prompts, tweak them based on what you get back, and continuously refine them to achieve optimal responses. It's a feedback loop for continuous improvement. By incorporating these advanced techniques, you move beyond basic interactions and truly become a skilled orchestrator of AI, enabling you to consistently generate highly effective, tailored, and reliable outputs for any task. Now, let's flip the coin and discuss common prompting pitfalls. These are mistakes we often see that can derail even the best intentions when working with large language models. Avoiding these will significantly improve your results. First, the most common pitfall: vague or ambiguous instructions. When your prompt is too broad, like simply saying "explain AI" or "write a report," the model is forced to guess what you truly want. This often leads to overly generic, off-target, or inconsistent outputs. The solution is always to clearly define your scope, your intent, and your target audience. Second, a major issue is lack of context. Remember, LLMs don't know what you know, unless you explicitly tell them. If your prompt references external data, internal policies, or a conversation you had 5 minutes ago that isn't included in the current input, the model may respond inaccurately or, worse, fill in those gaps with confidently presented but entirely fabricated information. This is what we call hallucinations. Always provide all necessary background for an informed response. Third, a pitfall that impacts usability: missing output format or constraints. If you don't specify the structure you expect, whether it's a bullet list, a table, JSON, or a specific word limit, you might receive responses that are harder to use or require significant manual editing. Clear formatting instructions ensure the output is immediately usable for your purpose. Next, a common trap is overloading the prompt with multiple tasks. Trying to ask the model to do too much in one go. For example, summarize this report, then write an email about it, and also create a slide from it. This can easily confuse the model. This dilutes the quality of each individual response. It's almost always better to break complex tasks down into smaller, modular prompts. Fifth, ignoring role definition or perspective can lead to misaligned outputs. Prompts often perform much better when you tell the model who it's supposed to be, like a teacher, a legal advisor, or a software engineer. Without this role guidance, the tone, depth, and specific terminology of the response may be completely misaligned with your expectations. Finally, one of the biggest missed opportunities: failure to iterate or test. Your first prompt might not yield optimal results, and that's perfectly normal. A significant pitfall is settling for that first version. Prompt writing is an iterative process. You must test, observe the output, and then adjust and refine your prompt to get closer to your ideal outcome. By being mindful of these common pitfalls, you can avoid frustrating results and ensure your interactions with large language models are consistently more effective, efficient, and valuable. To wrap up our session today, I want to leave you with this core message. Effective prompt writing is a truly foundational skill for working with AI tools like large language models. As you've learned, it's not just about asking questions into a search bar. It's a much more intentional process. It's about crafting clear, purposeful instructions that truly guide the model, thus ensuring it delivers meaningful, accurate, and usable results tailored to your exact needs. We've explored practical strategies to achieve this, from applying structured frameworks like RISE, to understanding and avoiding common pitfalls like vague instructions or missing context, and critically, to refining your approach through continuous iteration. These practices are your keys to unlocking the full potential of AI, thus empowering you in your work, fueling your creativity, and enhancing your decision-making processes. Remember this simple truth: the better your prompts, the better your outcomes. It's a direct correlation. And while it might feel like a learned skill at first, I assure you, with practice, great prompting will become second nature. You'll intuitively know how to communicate with these powerful tools to get exactly what you need, every time. It boils down to this simple truth: prompt smarter, work better. Thank you for joining this session. I hope it's given you practical tools and a fresh perspective on prompt writing. The more clearly we express our intent, the better results we get. Keep experimenting, keep refining, and most importantly, keep learning. Thanks again, and see you next time.